Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and you're watching my review for Brynhildr in the Darkness, aka Kiwaguro no Brynhildr, aka Goku Koku no Brynhildr, Episode 2. Alright, and this one starts off with a brief flashback of Murakami and Kuroneko. They're looking at different stars and constellations like Altair and Vega. If you have ever seen Aquarion Airball, alright, boom, boom. If you've ever seen Aquarion Airball, then you have most likely heard of Altair and Vega. But yeah, they're just sitting there and looking at constellations. And the point of this is to show how excited Kuroneko was to go to the ocean. And it serves as inspiration for Murakami to want to bring Neko to the ocean for the school trip. And shows why he keeps asking her about it and stuff like that. But before we get to that, we should just talk about like what happened before then. So Neko ends up not going to school the next day, the day after Murakami gets saved, and the teacher asks him to go drop off these forms for her because her address is close to the observatory that he goes to for the astronomy club. Not really a club since he's like the only person in it, but whatever. All right, and he does go to that address, and on the way there, he runs into a bunch of different armored trucks. All right, and we find out that inside those armored trucks are Kanade and Maki. All right, who we learn about later. But after he passes by them, he goes to this abandoned village that he sees underneath. He sees from this lookout, which is like the actual address. Right, and in that village he finds Neko, right, which it was a funny scene because she was singing and she was singing and he ended up walking in on her, so that was funny. But she ends up telling him that she doesn't need to go to school anymore because the only reason she transferred in the first place was to save him and Kashiwagi, right? So I think that was her name, Kashiwagi. Whatever, it doesn't matter. She's like never going to show up ever again, probably. So whatever. She tries to get him to just leave her alone because she just is not going to go back. But then Murakami says, "Well, I'm not going to leave you alone because I'm like you. Right? You can't sit back and let a person die when you know you can help them. Well, I'm like that too. All right. If you get caught, you're going to die. Well, I can't sit back and let that happen. I want to help you too. All right." And before he can like get a legitimate answer to that, he ends up hearing Kana's machine go crazy, and he wants to go and see what it is because it's saying like "Daskete, help me, save me," and he's like, "Wait, that's serious. That we need to help that person." But Neko uses her ability, her magic, to just like create this crater in front of him and force him to leave. Right. However, he ends up forgetting to show her the guide for the school trip, so he goes back, which I found funny because she just got done saying she wasn't going to transfer in, so she doesn't transfer in. She can't go to the school trip, yet that one thing is like, oh man, I forgot to show her this. No, I definitely have to go back. Yeah, I thought that was funny. Which, I mean, again, he really wants her to go on that trip so he can make it up to Kuroneko, but yeah. When he does go back, he hears Neko talking with Kana, right? And he hears her saying things like how if he gets caught with them, then he's going to die too, right? That gets his attention. Then he hears her say that the two of them are probably going to die soon, which he took it as them saying they're going to get captured soon, which you think, we're going to get captured soon, plus if we get captured, you're going to die too. If you're caught with us, you would think that logically he would say, well, then let me stay away. But again, Kuroneko, he just can't let it, he just can't. So after Neko leaves to go do something, I forgot what she went to do, it doesn't really matter. After she leaves, he goes in, sees Kana. It's obvious at this point that she was the shadowy figure from the last episode. When he walks in, she doesn't move at all. She doesn't react at all. So he's like, is she even alive? Is she just a corpse? Is is she a human in general? Is she just like a life-size doll or something? Which I can't really blame him for, because she's got the drill hair like dolls usually have, you know, blonde with drill hair. You know, she does look like a life-size doll, so I can't really blame him for that. And he goes to test it out. He goes to touch her face to see if she's like warm and stuff, if she's actually alive. But if she has actual skin instead of plastic. But Neko comes back, and she tells him, yes, that's Kana. She's alive. She's been paralyzed because of all the experimentation. However, she's the one with the ability of foresight. And in order to communicate, she uses this machine. That's what you heard earlier, right? And she gives the machine to Kana, and the first thing she does is insult Murakami, which is funny. But after that, she ends up telling Neko about what happened with Kanade. We learn that she was a person that they escaped with, and they're close friends with each other. But she was captured, and there's nothing they can do about it. We also learn that Maki is not from Kana, but we learn that Maki is just a human. All right, she's a human that got caught up in everything with Kanade, and now she's being killed along with Kanade for finding out about magic. So her purpose is to show what would happen to Murakami if he got captured. So they don't play. Essentially, that's the message, right? They don't play, all right? And Neko, she wants to save Kanade, but she just can't. I mean, there's just nothing she can do, all right? So Murakami leaves to let them have some time alone. Well, he leaves because freaking Neko was like yelling at him, telling him to leave. So that's why he really left. But after that, Kana pretty much just tells Neko that, you know, we don't have much longer to live, so the least you should do is try and enjoy the time you have left. So you should in fact go to school. All right. So yeah, she does. She does go to school. Fortunately for her, though, seeing as though she stopped getting educated like 10 years ago, she only reads at a first grade level. She can't read kanji, so when she gets called on in class to read, she kind of just embarrasses herself. So Murakami gets her out of there. They get to talking about different things, and they actually bring up the school trip. All right. And Neko says she's not sure if she's going to go. Why? You don't know. But, oh, I do, but yeah. She says she's not sure she'll go. But at that point, we end up getting a forecast from Kana. She talks about how this person's going to get hit by a car, but they ended up saving the person accidentally when they ran into her at the entrance to the school. Don't really care that much about that. But the one thing I did find interesting is that when they were kind of like happy and celebrating that they were able to save her, then right after that, boom, they switched to freaking Kanade getting killed. Like right after that, something, you know, now for something totally different, you know, one of those types of things. So she's pleading for her life. She's pleading for Maki's life, saying she's got nothing to do with it. But the dude's like, hey, she knows about magic, and if you know about magic, you can't be allowed to live. She's done, and so are you. All right. Then this dude comes and ejects her. That thing on the back of her neck. He pushes a button on there, and the main part of it just comes out, and then her body just liquefies. It just melts. Like, oh my god, like that. This is some rough stuff. Like if you were watching Brynhildr, wow, geez, I can't talk. If you were watching Brynhildr in the Darkness, thinking this should be a cool slice of life series with a little bit of magic in there, people trying to save each other, then you clearly this episode has proved you wrong, because you got people melting and crap. Like this is, again, like I said last week, this is by the author of Elfen Lied, so you can expect death. You can expect death in it. All right, so yeah. And after that, we go right back to the happy moments too, which again I found interesting. All right, we go from celebrating someone being saved to watching Kanade melt and be killed by this dude. Right. Then back to Kana and Neko and Murakami, because the two of them are hungry, and Murakami ends up bringing yakisoba bread and cake, and that just like makes them so happy because they've had like nothing but herbs to eat for like the longest time. and they're all like they're fangirling over cake. Like it was funny. Like, you can tell just how they've been living for ever since they escaped from the lab. So like they were talking about how beautiful the cake was, and since Kana can't chew, Neko has to put the cake in a blender, and Kana was like starting to cry from seeing the cake get put in the blender, and then and then Neko started to cry when Murakami said that the other piece of cake was actually for him. So Neko is awesome, right? Her reactions to things are so adorable, whether it be like things like that, or when she realized that Murakami overheard her singing, or whether it be when he was talking about how she reads at a first grade level, like just the way she reacts to things is just adorable. Um, but yeah, they end up. I assume they enjoyed themselves for the rest of the night, had a good time, I guess. But once Murakami does go to leave, Neko, she says that she does want to go on the trip. However, her nose starts to bleed. All right, and then the next day she doesn't come to school. Now, I'm just throwing this out here, but originally, Neko said she wasn't sure she'd go on the trip. She also says she's going to die soon. Then her nose starts to bleed, and in the opening you can see clips of her body covered in blood, along with Kana and the two other girls. Now, I'm just saying, but maybe all those things are linked together. I'm just saying, alright? I'm just saying, alright? Not going to spoil anything legitimately, but I'm just saying, alright? Those were things that have already been introduced, so I'm just laying the groundwork for it. So I'm just giving you the blueprint. It's your job to put it all together. I'm just saying, alright? Maybe those things are linked, but yeah, that's it. That's it for this review, you guys. I'll give the episode an 8 out of 10. I thought it was good. We're still learning a lot about the witches and things like that. Plus, we got glimpses of what happens when you fail to escape, or when you escape but then you end up getting caught. It's just we learned a lot in this episode, so I'll give it an 8 out of 10. It was good, and that's that. Rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.